Hello, everybody. Compliments of the new season, and welcome back to Wisdom Falls with my aunt Kosana. As I did promise, I will be back with more of our content, doing the book reviews and interviews with the book authors for this year of 2022. So the book that we're going to start with for this year is Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess by Dr. Caroline Leaf. I did promise to come back and do a review of this amazing read that is very proven and powerful and quite scientific in its nature. So Dr. Caroline Leaf, in her book, she addresses very important matters, which is why I decided to read this book in the first place, as well as do a review for it. Now, the review will help to raise awareness pertaining to the mental health, depression, and anxiety that we have been experiencing and that we experience as a people. And some of the things that I realized as well was that in my own personal life, I was struggling when it comes to managing my thoughts. I did realize that I am quite strong when it comes to spiritual things, or even physically. I can go for exercising and even choose the kind of diet that I want to eat. But when it comes to being consistent at it and just keeping my mind strong when it comes to emotional issues and mental issues, I definitely needed help. And I knew that I was not the only one who was feeling this way, because looking at the suicide rates that have been growing the world at large, my heart sank. I saw the need to pick up this book to read and equip myself, as well as to share with others to also equip themselves. Now, I would recommend this book very much for anyone, for everyone, because it does not matter whether you are a scientific person, whether you are in an entertainment industry, whether you are a businesswoman, whether you are in ministry, or you are just a student as well who is still figuring out their lives. I think this book would help you so much, so that you know how to address issues in your personal life, in your family, in your community, even in your own corner, the space that you don't want anyone else to see. Because the difficult thing is just being outside and happy, and when you get into your home, the real issues, they definitely do start. So let us fight the suicide rates and the thoughts that attack us by equipping our minds. So this is where this book comes in. This book talks about the 5 simple, scientifically proven steps to reduce anxiety, stress, and toxic thinking. Now, Dr. Caroline Leaf is a neuroscientist, really, who has a passion with helping people to know how to think properly. She has studied the mind and understands how we can harness the mind to work for us, and how important it is to find your mental peace. So I love how she uses science to explain all the simple concepts that we might even know about, but she makes sure that we can see how this is important pertaining to our brains using the experiments that have been scientifically proven. Now, in her book, Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about what happens when we don't use our minds. In the part 1 of the book, that's where she talks about the why and the how. Why is it important for us to give attention to our minds? Why is it important to understand mind management? And she explains that concept very vividly, very clearly, and quite powerfully. What happens in mind management, and why do we need it? She talks about why the neurocycle is the solution to cleaning up your mental mess. She explains the neurocycle, how the minds function, how do you have the thoughts that are negative and the positive thoughts that keep coming back, and how to recycle and use the thoughts that are positive to combat the negative thoughts. What happens to your brain when you effectively do that? She also shows us the research, the group of people that she used. There was the control group and the experimental group that went through the 63 days program, yes, to be able to know how to manage their minds. So there has been definite changes that have been identified for the group that was in the experiment versus the group that was in the control that didn't go through the 5 steps, the scientific steps that she gives, that are helping us to clean up our mental mess. And she talks about what is the mind in essence, the interconnected mind as well. And in the part 2 of the book, that's when she goes deeper into the practical application of the neurocycle, the 5 steps neurocycle, as well as how to direct our brains for change. Why it takes 63 days of the neurocycling to form the habit, and many other important matters as well. So some of the things that I have realized even in the experiment, as you read through, it helps you to channel yourself and even to understand where you are as a person, what kind of a thing or different things that you might be dealing with. And those things, she calls them thoughts, the thoughts that might be challenging you, or the thoughts that you just need to address. Because it might be that you didn't like something someone said at work today, and now it is important for you to sit down and understand, where is this coming from? Why am I thinking about it this way? How does it make me feel? Be able to write it down, to reflect, to gather as much information about it as possible, and then to be able to see what are the steps that you can do to help you relate better with the situation. So she explains all of that scientifically. I made it too simple the way I was talking about it, and the more you engage it with your mind, the more even your mind changes, the more you see the importance of why you must fight and work for your mental peace. So I love how she explains what a thought is. She says a thought is a concept that has 3 parts. It has the informational memories, it has the emotional or the feelings or the feeling memories. It also has the physical memories. It is informational memory, it is emotional memory, and it has the physical memory. By this, she also means that the thought that you have carries a lot of information. When you think about something, what information comes to your mind? Where were you when this thing was happening? And then when it comes to the emotional side, is how did it make you feel? When it goes to the physical side, is what happens to you? Do you feel like my stomach is being bloated because I'm thinking about this, or I'm having chest pains? So some of the things for me that I've realized, when something is not properly positioned in my mind and I'm struggling with it, I normally get chest pains. So I now need to know, how do I get to deal with that? And Dr. Leaf also speaks about the 3 distinctions or the areas of the mind. She talks about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, as well as the non-conscious mind. And now she explains how these thoughts, they work in the non-conscious, in the subconscious, as well as the non-conscious minds. When she talks about the non-conscious mind, she says that this is where the thoughts are dynamically interconnecting and are entangled. And the subconscious mind, it prompts from the non-conscious mind in the form of emotional, informational, and physical warning signals. And the conscious mind is the one that we're mostly aware of, is fully in an aware state. Really, you are awake. And whatever we say and do comes from the thoughts, which are the root of our words and action. I loved reading this book because it was not just the information that Dr. Leaf could just be giving you, but she was showing you how it was proved, even scientifically, with the experiments that they have done. And I also love when she says we don't need to be held captive to our own thoughts. Instead, we can capture our thoughts. And in the book, she shows you how to do that. And I must say, after reading this book and going through a few of my own thoughts that I have been experiencing, I feel so much more at peace as well mentally. Well, naturally, I am quite a calm person. And some of the steps that I've realized in this book were the things that I could potentially have been doing already. However, knowing that they have a scientific bearing and even my mind understands them more, I feel more equipped for me to do even the simplest of things, knowing that they will definitely yield a positive return. And remember when we were talking about our thoughts as well, how important they are. Dr. Leaf also says that we get valuable little packets of information in the form of emotional and physical and warning signals around every 10 seconds. It means that the thoughts, when they come in our minds, they carry all of that information. And with the mind management, we can start seeing that even the depression and anxiety are coming from normal reactions to the experiences of life. There's the other myth that she is breaking in the book to say that when we talk about depression and anxiety, it's not just mentioning them that they are negative. Those are necessary to show us when we are experiencing a certain form of danger, or there is something that our minds are not able to process as yet. It is therefore important to take time when you feel that a sense of depression is coming in, to stop, to pause, to be able to see what could be causing that, taking the time to do the deep thinking. That's what she calls it, to be able to go through the steps that she provides in the book for you to now have an understanding of where is this coming from and how to deal with it. Same thing as anxiety as well. It does not mean that you are sick, it just means that you are getting a signal of some sort. The same way physically also, if you are not feeling well, there will be signs and things that happen, whether it's a headache or something that gets a bit painful. It's a signal to show you that something might be going wrong and you need to take charge of it. It does not mean you have been declared mentally ill clinically. So before that is declared, let us help our minds not to get into the clutter. And one other thing that Dr. Leaf mentions is the importance of not just raising awareness of mental health, because by doing that, sometimes we put ourselves under pressure and we tend to think that we are depressed, we are stressed, we are mentally strained without having the proper thoughts. That is some of the things that she experienced with the group that did not have the 5 steps program running. That group, the more they were aware of their thoughts and the mental challenges, their brain was just challenged because they didn't know how to deal with them. So even with us, when we bring up mental awareness, we must be able to bring up the ways in which they can help us to deal with this awareness. So the more we understand our minds, the more we can be able to deal with anything that is challenging the mind, or any thought that comes, whether it's from trauma or it's from a toxic thought, a toxic relationship. Sometimes even with the people that we know, some people use emotional blackmail to get things from us, and some of those thoughts, they can stay, and then you end up seeing yourself the way they see you. Those are some of the things that you need to bring to the front and not suppress, because the more we suppress our thoughts, the more we suppress our ideas, the things that we are experiencing, the more they will come back later on in life. And in fact, we might even feel helpless at the time because we won't even know what is causing those things to reappear. I like how she says it as well, to say that the more you understand the non-conscious mind, the more you will see that you also have the ability to change your mind. It is quite interesting because she does not only teach you about the challenges that the mind goes through, but she also shows you how to tackle those challenges. When we become deliberate, intentional, self-regulated thinkers, we tune into the subconscious mind, which takes us deeper into the non-conscious mind. And when she explains also the non-conscious mind in the book, that is where the wealth of wisdom resides. That is where the core of who you are as well resides, where your thoughts, your understanding, your identity and belief resides. So it's important for you now and again to connect to that level so that you can be able to drive the positive things about you that can counteract with the negativity that can be happening out in the outside world. And she then mentions the important practices such as your meditation, prayer, taking the quiet time so that you are able to just tune into your inner self and quieten the outer world and understand where you are, what is happening, so that you can bring out the gem that is inside of you to be the one that is living and the one that is exercising within your conscious thoughts, within your conscious actions, and within your everyday life as well. And this book is quite packed. This book is beautiful. Even simple statements that we do, like when we think about something more, it grows more. She shows you the transmission of energy, what happens when that energy moves from the negative thoughts or from the positive thoughts. Whatever we feed energy grows. It is so interesting when you see that practically and you understand what is happening as well. And in the book, she also gives us the snippet. I'm not sure if it's clear. Yes, just to see the different, these are the different brains. The brain of one person over the 63-day period. This is how long the experiment that they did, so that they can see if this is the brain of somebody who had the equipment of using the 5 steps process, and this is now the brain of somebody who didn't have the equipment of using the 5-step processes. And you will see that for this person, they started nicely with day 1, and then on day 3 they were becoming aware of what is happening. There's different hormones, the alphas, the betas that she explains, the thetas, the high betas as well, in terms of how they react and how your mind reacts when you become aware of the toxic thoughts and things. Now, if you are someone who didn't have the equipment in terms of how to deal with the problems you're experiencing, in as much as you can get better and it becomes blue because you don't know how to deal with where you are, your brain changes and it becomes red, and it shows that there is danger. It shows that your mind is not able to process things because you are not given the equipment to do that. However, if you have been able to gracefully go through the process, there is a time where you have the dark blues where it's a bit difficult, but then there is also a time where it clears and it becomes gray and green, whereby you are able to now deal with the different circumstances and the issues that you have been provided with or that you are going through as well. Shoo, I didn't think this will be a bit long, and that is just the part 1 of the book. We haven't spoken anything about the practical application of the neurocycle. I will do that as part 2. Thank you so much. If you can see the value that is in this book, please do get it for yourself. Dr. Caroline Leith, Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. And these are the 5 simple, scientifically proven steps to reduce anxiety, stress, and toxic thinking. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I will do the part 2 so that we can cover the practical application. I will not do it explicitly because you still need to get the book for yourself. I'm not reading it for you so that you know that it is very much important for you to do it for yourself as well. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.